Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Donald Trump speaking once again to the media. This was today talking about Canada. Elon Musk was in the room talking. I'm going to play a clip of that as well. But you can see Trump is still very adamant about Canada being the 51st state. I think he means territory, but he's been talking about it. So let's see what he has to say here. Again, this is today. This is an updated, they're talking about the tariffs. I did a video yesterday talking about the 25% tariffs. They're going forward right now on March 4th. Remember, back in January, they were going forward right until they weren't. Basically, the day they were going to be enacted, Trump had an emergency phone call with the Mexican president and the Prime Minister of Canada, and they reached deals as long as both Mexico and Canada strengthened and fortified their border security and stopped the flow of fentanyl. And now Trump is saying again, because really, why would he say anything different? You lose leverage if you say, no, I'm not going to put the tariffs on March 4th. You keep saying that even if you're going to possibly try and work out another deal with both Canada and Mexico to postpone the tariffs. I think maybe it would be a good idea right now with where we're at with some certain things like the stock market and crypto, especially crypto. Maybe we should postpone these tariffs here. But we'll see what happens. Let's see what Trump has to say.
And I say Canada should be our 51st state. There's no tariffs, no nothing. And I say that we give them military protection. They have a very small military. They spend very little money on military. On NATO, they're just about last in terms of payment because they say, why should we spend on military? That's a tremendous cost. Most nations can't afford to even think about it. Why should we spend on military? The United States protects us. And I would say that's largely true. We protect Canada, but it's not fair. It's not fair that they're not paying their way. And if they had to pay their way, they couldn't exist. When I spoke to, let's call it the Prime Minister rather than the governor, but when I spoke to him, I said, why are we giving you $200 billion a year? He was unable to answer the question. I said, why are we letting you make millions of cars and send them in? He was unable to answer the question. Justin Trudeau, a nice guy. I think he's a very good guy. I call him Governor Trudeau. He should be governor because the fact is that if we don't give them cars, we don't have to give them cars. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell cars into the United States. The tariffs will make it impossible for them to sell lumber or anything else into the United States. And all I'm asking to do is break even or lose a little bit, but not lose $200 billion.
Right. And so I think with the 200 million, he's talking about the trade deficit with Canada there. Canada is very reliant on the United States. That's why a lot of Canadians have said they need to trade with other countries outside of the US. For them, it just makes sense based on how isolated they are with their climate with the United States and how big our economy is to trade with us. But Trump is saying that, and Trump is right in the sense of Canada does not have a very strong military. And some of that is they do not have the population the United States has, but a lot of that also is Canada understands, even though they're their own country, they realize if anything happened in North America, like in northern Canada, let's just say, if a foreign country tried invading or something happened, the United States would treat Canada like the United States. We would not allow another country to invade Canada or cause a disruption. Canada understands that, so they put even less of an emphasis on military. It's kind of like the European countries getting very complacent when it comes to their own military. Some of that's just the liberalism and how left-wing they are. Some of that also is when you're in NATO with the strongest country in the world, by far, the United States, you can be a little bit lax on it. So you're seeing with Trump coming in, a lot of these European countries saying, no, we have to be able to fortify our militaries and increase the defense spending. And Canada has also said that, but the relationship with Canada is just not healthy. That really is what Trump is trying to demonstrate. We protect Canada. Canada understands that. Therefore, they don't spend much on their military. And they are also very reliant on us when it comes to trade. And Trump thinks if we are going to be in this relationship with Canada, we should at least have them as a territory so we can get all those natural resources. There's a lot of natural resources that are untapped in northern Canada in the upper territories. And you would also have full control, especially if you took Greenland, of the Northwest Passage. I've said this is not a very good idea for Trump when it comes to adding them as a state. I think he means territory, which would be, for Canada. Look, I know they want to still be their own country. That's perfectly fine. But for them, there would be some serious tax benefits to becoming a territory, some big tax benefits. But this is just something that Trump keeps saying, and it does lend credence to the whole idea to where he's using the tariffs as economic leverage into forcing Canada into submission. Now, whether or not it'll work, or he keeps bluffing, or he keeps pushing them back, if you go back to January when the tariffs were going to be enacted, especially when it comes to Canada, the Mexico situation I can understand because of how bad the fentanyl flow is there and forcing them to secure their border. I've wondered if maybe Trump was a little bit spooked at how the stock market had responded to the tariffs potentially going into place on both Canada and Mexico, because you can say, well, Trump was able to extort the countries, and he was, but it was also a thing, especially with Canada. It's a very strange situation in terms of Trump putting a high emphasis on the fentanyl flow in from Canada when it's just not, listen, we don't want any flow of fentanyl from anywhere coming to the United States. It's not, but I'm just saying for that to be threatening tariffs for something like that, it seems a bit strange to me. So it just doesn't seem like a necessary threat. Like, if it was a serious problem, I would agree. You could do that and it would be a big win. But when it comes to Trump, I mean, it is the idea, if you do decide to tariff them and it's a longer thing, it is going to significantly hurt Canada. And then you come in and it's the United States with a helping hand. We're going to remove all the tariffs. You become a state. That's it. I mean, I'm not, that's like what people have been saying about Trump. I mean, it's hard to exactly know what Trump really wants in this situation, honestly, because we've discussed this about the 51st state. It's just not, it's not the route that Republicans want to take here. And so this is some type of threat. It's maybe a 40 chess play by Trump or something. I mean, it's just not that we don't need a bunch of liberals voting now. I mean, that they would get more electoral votes than California. It'd be a liberal state. There's just those people do not like Trump. Even if Trump did something to where he improved their overall net worths, I don't think it would really matter. They're way more liberal than here in the United States. I mean, there's places in Canada that are conservative, I guess, but it's not a good idea for a conservative to be asking for this. You've also got this. This was a big thing that came out yesterday. Trump talking about the gold card. $5 million is the cost of it, and you could purchase it. It's kind of like a purchasable green card. They're saying it will allow you to work in the country and have a route to citizenship, probably a very easy route to citizenship if you're paying $5 million. And it will be replacing a program that's already in place, the EB-5 program. The gold card recipients would be vetted, of course, especially if you make that kind of money. Instead of green card lotteries, they want to help eliminate the deficit by letting people buy their way in. It attracts money, job creators, high-level talents. And so, yeah, this is something that is definitely a very hard thing to achieve. We're not talking about, now thousands and millions are going to come into the country because this is a new avenue to do it. The problem with something like this is when you add wealthy people from other countries, there's going to be a level of influence that those people have. And so these are people that are, most of them that come here, they don't necessarily believe in our culture. They don't really care about being an American. They're wealthy. They see an opportunity in the United States. And they, them utilizing their influence when they're not really part of our culture, or they're not proud to be an American. This is where something like this becomes problematic. We're not too big on immigration in general right now. This is obviously a 1 in a million, and I'm not saying it's gonna make it to where there's all these illegals coming, or not illegals. These people, of course, this would make the government money. It's $5 million. It's a very rare thing, but somebody that can do this, I mean, it's probably a very easy route to citizenship for somebody that's extremely rich from another country. The issue is that's somebody that, normally when you get citizenship, you've got to go through a rigorous process and try and really become an American. With something like this, it seems like you pay $5 million, you're going to become a citizen. And you're going to be able to operate your business here. and you're going to have some level of influence if you have that kind of money. So you can understand the issues with something like this. I don't think it's a huge deal, but there are potential problems with something like this gold card. But that's what Trump is. He's a businessman. You see $5 million. I mean, that's utilizing the United States and how powerful we are as a nation and our opportunity as a capitalist society with how big our economy is. It's very attractive for extremely rich people. So you say, you know what? Give us $5 million. But there are drawbacks to that when it comes to, and maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know, man. It's just my opinion on that. You've got DeSantis pushing to eliminate property taxes in Florida. Yeah, this is going to be a really big thing because with Florida, it's going to be eliminating property taxes and no state income tax. But property taxes are the next huge thing. Ramaswamy was talking about it with Ohio. And so I think a lot of these Republican governors are going to be talking about property taxes, state taxes, and you're going to pay for it, especially a state like Florida, by raising the taxes on tourism as well as the overall sales tax. They were talking about raising the sales tax to, they said 15%. I think that's a little rich there, 15%. I don't know, you want to eliminate, if you have no state income tax, no property tax, would you be willing to pay that? There's the idea where you eliminate all taxes and make sales tax 23%. I don't think people would be able to do that. I don't think people could do that. The thing with taxes, it's kind of like this funny thing to where, if you've got just a normal job, they're already going to take the taxes out of your paycheck. It becomes an issue when you get to keep all the money, but then you get hit with a 23% sales tax. It's almost like people don't even, you never had the money basically, because when you're getting your paycheck, the taxes are already taken out of. Not with my job. With my job, they give me everything and then I have to pay a lump sum, or you do it quarterly if you set up a plan. But you're going to see more Republicans try and push for things like this. I mean, Trump is pushing for this on a national level, not necessarily the property taxes, at least not yet. More so the state income tax, or even just slashing the state income tax in every state by half if you're able to save significant money when it comes to these government cuts. You've also got Donald Trump. This is Elon Musk talking here. We'll see what Elon has to say.
Here, because this is actually, as crazy as it sounds, that is almost a literal description of the work that the Doge team is doing, is helping fix the government computer systems. Many of these systems are extremely old. They don't communicate. There are a lot of mistakes in the systems. The software doesn't work. So we are actually tech support. It's ironic, but it's true. The overall goal here with the Doge team is to help address the enormous deficit. We simply cannot sustain as a country $2 trillion deficits. The interest rates, just the interest on the national debt now exceeds the Defense Department spending. We spend a lot on the Defense Department, but we're spending over $1 trillion on interest. If this continues, the country will become de facto bankrupt. It's not.
We're spending over $1 trillion on interest. The defense budget is about $850 billion. He's right. And remember, Doge said they want to bring down the deficit from 2 trillion to 1 trillion.
An optional thing. It is an essential thing. That's the reason I'm here. And taking a lot of flack and getting a lot of death threats, by the way. I'm gonna stack them up, But if we don't do this, America will go bankrupt. That's why it has to be done. And I'm confident at this point, knock on wood, knock on my wooden head.
The dark MAGA hat, remember that?
That we can actually find $1 trillion in savings. That would be roughly 15% of the $7 trillion budget. And obviously that can only be done with the support of everyone in this room. And I'd like to thank everyone for your support. Thank you very much. This can only be done with your support. So it's really, Doge is a support function for the president and for the agencies and departments to help achieve those savings and to effectively find 15% in reduction in fraud and waste.
Right. The question is, how do you get the 15% without going after entitlements? It's hard because entitlements are such a massive part of government spending, but it's like a death threat when it comes to the elections, midterms, the 2028 election. So we'll see what they end up doing, but I mean, obviously, I certainly do like You know, we'll see with Elon. I know people are, he's not elected and everything like that, but at least Musk, I mean, there's all these billionaires that are Democrats that lay in the weeds and have this soft power behind the scenes. At least Musk is putting his money where his mouth is, and he is taking some serious heat for what he's doing. At least he's out in public. It's a lot better than being an evil billionaire behind the scenes, but liberals think, no, it's better to be behind the scenes. And then you've got this, looks like this was done by a rogue Apple employee. You use the text to speech, and anytime you said the word racist, it would automatically, fill in with Trump. And so here it is right here. And this is some liberal rogue employee giving an update trying to troll Trump people, and then they tried denying it.
This is crazy. Racist. Racist.
Yeah, so there that is. It's just typical with these people. They hate Trump so much. You get a lot of it with the this craziness. But guys, that's gonna do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.